right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Geographic, and I'll be your host for today. We are in our final day of our Ocean Week live lessons. So all week long, we've been connecting with scientists and researchers, explorers and conservationists, and they've been sharing their stories of exploring the ocean, of the amazing marine life. Stories about how climate change and overfishing is having a huge impact on the ocean. But then they've also been sharing really important stories. So stories about conservation, stories about communities coming together to help protect the ocean, and cool solutions to some of the problems we face using technology. So there's still more to come. A few more lessons today. If you visit exploringbytheseat.com, you can find those lessons. If you visit our YouTube channel, you can find all of the lessons that we've had throughout the week, and you can tune into some of those recordings. We've had some really good ones, everything from sea turtles to sharks to the deepest parts of our ocean, to rowing across the Pacific Ocean. So we really have had a lot of cool live events. So let's get into today's action. Today, we are going to catch up with Jamal Galves. Jamal is really passionate about manatee conservation, and he has been for a long time. He became a manatee scientist at Sea to Shore Alliance. He was assisting with manatee captures and health assessments. He is the program coordinator for the Belize Manatee Conservation Program. He was chosen as an Explorers Club 50. He was also a National Geographic Photo Arc Edge Fellow. So he really is doing incredible work in conservation in Belize, even recognized as a national hero in Belize, the Meritorious Service Award, which is pretty darn cool. So I'm looking forward to spending some time with Jamal and learning about the work he does. So I'm going to reach backstage and see if I can grab him. Hey, Jamal, how are you?
Hi. I'm okay, and you?
I'm good. I love the nickname there, Jamal, the Manatee Man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you guys today.
Yeah, of course. It's great to have you for Ocean Week. Jamal, we have students tuning in from Canada and the US. They're going to have questions for you when the time comes. So if you are tuning in, don't be afraid to use that chat sidebar. Let us know where you're watching from. Send us in some questions. But Jamal, it would be great to let you take over for a little bit and share your work with us.
All right. Uh, let's let me pull this up.
I see it loading. That's a good start. All right. Looks good, Jamal.
All right. So thank you guys very much. As Joe mentioned, my name is Jamal Galves, and I'm the program coordinator for the Clearwater Marine Aquarium Research Institute here in Belize. And today I'm happy to share with you some of our efforts to safeguard the Greater Caribbean Manatees of Belize. Just a little bit about us, the Clearwater Marine Aquarium Research Institute. Working with some of the world's most fragile and coastal ecosystems, and we work with some of the world's most endangered species and the ecosystems that call them home. Here in Belize, we're focused primarily on the Greater Caribbean Manatees, and our goal is to ensure you have protections efforts in place that will protect these animals and the sensitive habitat that these animals rely on. So primarily, we were a research institute, but we also focus on the rescue of injured orphan marine wildlife, including manatees, sea turtles, dolphins, whales, and that list sort of expands every year. I have rehabilitation here as we're currently in the process of developing Belize's first marine rescue and education center, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And we're releasing. So the goal is to rescue, rehab, and release these animals back into the wild so that they can contribute to the conservation of the population of the species. We're also primarily, like I mentioned, a research and conservation institute. We've been studying manatees since 1996. This is the longest study of the species in the world, and this program has been used to develop programs across the region. And lastly, our primary goal is to inspire. We're trying to inspire change, inspire people to want to care, to love, to want to be a part of conservation, and to be a part of the movement that will safeguard marine life. Here I'll show you a short video that talks about the species and some of the threats that they're facing in Belize.
Belize has the highest population of the Antillean manatee in the world, and we'd like to keep it that way.
The Sea to Shore Alliance and our partners have been fighting to protect our environment and these endangered manatees.
Each year, however, their death rate continues to increase rapidly due to watercraft collision, destruction of coastal habitat, entanglement in fishing gears, garbage pollution, and poaching. Yes, poaching.
These animals are in dire trouble and they need our help.
It's our responsibility as Belizeans to protect what belongs to us.
In order to create a safe environment and future for our aquatic friends, we must act now.
Respecting no-wake zones and manatee habitat is important.
Practice sustainable fishing methods and properly discard damaged fishing gear.
People throw garbage everywhere, except in the garbage can.
Garbage stops here.
When we safeguard important habitats such as mangroves, seagrass beds, the barrier reef, and our marine lives, we are safeguarding our livelihoods.
I want you to look after my future.
What about me?
When I grow up, I want to see manatees.
We are asking for your support, and we thank you for recognizing the importance of manatees and their habitats.
Thank you for caring.
Big thank you from our aquatic friends.
I am a humanitarian.
I am a humanitarian.
We are humanitarians.
Protect. Protect. We protect.
We should protect our manatees.
We must protect them.
Protect what belongs to us.
Protect ours.
Protect your manatees, Belize.
So we started this movement to try and safeguard the species, and this motto of protecting our manatees, Belize. So like manatees, like humans and any other species, manatees do have their family. In their family, they're from the order of Sirenia. Sirenia is another word for mermaids, referred to as mermaids of the sea. In this family, there are 5 different species. On the top left on your screen is the Amazonian manatee, which is found in the Amazon River. The animal is confined to fresh water. Just below is the West African manatee, which is found in West Africa, across Africa. And that species, little is known about it because the species have been heavily hunted, which have literally changed the species' behavior, making them a lot more docile than other manatees. Below is the largest of the family, called the stellar sea cow. This species had gone extinct decades ago due to hunting pressures. But it makes you wonder, if this species could have gone extinct decades ago when the world had less people, threats were limited, climate change wasn't a conversation, not even a thought, it's very likely that the 4 can follow that because the pressures have significantly increased that affect this species. Just above is the dugong found off the coast of Australia and some parts of Africa. The dugong is the only one still alive that has the tail that's kind of like a dolphin. And just above is the West Indian manatee, which the name has recently changed to the Greater Caribbean manatees. The Greater Caribbean manatee, the West Indian manatee, has 2 different subspecies. The Floridian manatee, which is found in Florida, and the Greater Caribbean manatee found in Belize and across the Central America. This map here showcases you the different species and where they can be found. Today we're focused primarily on the Antillean manatees, which was recently renamed to the Greater Caribbean manatees. As you can see on the map, this species can be found from as far as Mexico all the way down to Venezuela and most of the Caribbean countries. So it does have a large range. But the closest relative to the order is Sirenia. They may not look alike, but I can assure you that these are the closest relative to the order of Sirenia: Artivox, Hyrax, and elephants. Elephants are a little bit more similar to manatees than Artivox and Hyrax, but those are the 3 main relative to the order of Sirenia. But why are these species important for conservation? In Belize, they're the only extant aquatic herbivorous mammals, the only marine species or ocean or sea species that's eating seagrass in the magnitude in which it does. Population estimate to be just around 550. Belize is home to the largest population of this species. So it means that despite the fact that these animals have a long range, the numbers are very small in other countries. If Belize has 550, these other countries' numbers are significantly lower. And that's one of the main reasons for the protection and the efforts to try and safeguard the species. And as I mentioned already, they're endangered. And I'll talk about some of the reasons why these species are endangered shortly. Just some fun fact. Manatees can live about 30 years in the wild. I say in the wild because they can live longer. They've proven to live longer in human care. Animals, some manatees that have born in captivity have lived up to 75 years old, and some a little bit older. But in the wild, these animals face many threats that literally cut their lifespan in half. They're slow moving animals, but they can move about 15 miles per hour at short bursts, and then they need to come to the surface to breed. They're relatively large aquatic mammals. They can grow up to 1,200 pounds, 10 to 12 feet in length, literally the size of a small pickup truck in length and weight. They have very large lungs, which helps with the buoyancy. If you can see in the top photo, you can see an X-ray vision where you'll observe the lung, the pink area runs along the entire spinal column. Unfortunately, that's where manatees often get hit by boats. So when they get hit by boats, that's the first organ that becomes exposed or damaged, their lungs, and that is significantly important for their survival. These animals can submerge for long periods, 10 to 15 minutes, before they come to the surface to breed. They have relatively good hearing skills, but studies have shown that despite the fact that they can hear well, they're unable to determine where the sound is coming from. They have sensitive ears on their body that helps them to determine currents and upcoming objects. They're considered social aquatic loners, meaning that they don't have any best friends, no pals, no OGs, no buddies, whatever terms are being thrown around these days. Like every other species, manatees communicate, but they communicate using short harmonic squeals and squeaks. And as I already mentioned, they're herbivores. They eat about 10% of their body weight daily. This can be up to a few hundred pounds a day. They spend primarily they spend their time eating, feeding, and sleeping, resting. But they're essential for nutrients recycling. Because they eat so much, they excrete a lot. The excretion acts as food for small fishes and crustaceans, and big fish eat small fishes, and human eat big fishes. So they play an important role within their ecosystem, despite the fact that the greater Caribbean manatees can be found in extra salt water to extra fresh water. They do need access to fresh water, so they will travel long distance to get fresh water. But the big question, how do you tell a male from a female? You can't look at the manatee in its face and say it's a girl or it's a boy, unless you happen to see it with a baby. That's the only other way you'll be able to identify if it's a female or a male. But this is the way that you normally would tell. A male, the genital opening is closer to the midsection of the manatee, while the female is closer to the tail, the anus area. Manatees are generally peaceful animals. This is the only time you'll find them to be aggressive during the mating time. I like to refer to it as fighting for a parking space in New York City. There's none. You have about 20 males chasing after one female, and this can go on for several weeks. Sometimes this also results in the female being drugged, and there's no mate selection. So the female doesn't get to choose which male she mates. And the first male that she mates doesn't necessarily make that male the father, because she copulates with numerous males, and the male plays no role in parenting. So the female is the one that takes care of the baby until it's getting to the point of adult. This is one of the issues that has manatees in the position in which they are, because their reproduction rate is relatively very low. The males, referred to as bulls, become sexually mature at about 10 years old, while the females become mature at 3 years old. But the female does not have her first pregnancy until she's about 4 to 5 years old. Unlike humans, their pregnancy lasts for 1 year, 12 months, and they give birth to a single calf. Twins can come, but it's very rare, and they don't have another calf for the next 3 to 5 years. And that calf stays with its mother for about 2 years before the calf becomes independent enough to go on. But trouble is on the horizon. Each year we've seen manatee death rates increase rapidly due to many different reasons. Hunting is the reason why manatees are originally endangered, because they used to hunt them in the past. That has been replaced by watercraft collision. Over 60% of manatees that die here in Belize is as a result of watercraft collision. Other threats include habitat loss, people destroying their habitat, tearing down the mangrove for resorts and cruise ports, dredging the seagrass that manatees need for survival so that they can make boat channels, and nets. People setting nets in long spans of sea, and these do get entangled. Other threats that you don't see on here includes pollution as well, and climate change is a big one for the species as well. Oftentimes, manatees do get hit by boats, leaving, sometimes it's a mother leaving a calf in need of. So these animals end up having to be rescued. Those mothers that die leave calf alone in need of rescue, those animals end up in rehabilitation where they're provided care until they're old enough and they have the behavior that's required for them to actually be released. So in Belize, we have been studying manatees since 1996. It's the longest study of the species in the world. To date, we've caught over 224 manatees. Each animal that we catch is complete. Is given a complete health assessment. So we look at their blood, their DNA, their genetics, their full body check, measurements, weight. So they do get a full health assessment just because they get it for free. We also put transmitters on these animals. This is a satellite tag that you see here, which is placed on an animal so that we can follow their movement patterns, study their behavior. That data is used to better understand where these animals go, the habitat that they favor the most. And this data is shared with the government agencies, developers, and NGOs for them to make some decisions as it relates to manatees when these developments are occurring in areas that are important to manatees. This is also one of the longest teaching opportunity. We've trained students from across the globe, veterinarians, doctors, biologists, so that they can take this knowledge back to their country. We also participate in increased monitoring, so we monitor boat traffics to see how they're impacting manatees. Signs are installed in place to inform boaters where manatees are so that they can slow down to limit the chances of a manatee being hit by a boat. Joint patrols are carried out with the Port Authority and the Coast Guard to remove illegal nets and to enforce speed zones. And a local awareness. We travel across the country into classrooms, public spaces, offices, sharing this information so that people can understand the plight that these animals are facing. One of our biggest stakeholders are the tour guides and boat captains. Every year, for the last few years, we've done some tour guides and boat captains training. We teach them how to boat in manatee areas, and we continue to work along, not just locally, but internationally, in classrooms across the globe, trying to inspire children to want to be a part of this flight, that we can all be a part of safeguarding manatees. And with the increase in the number of manatees that are rescued every year, there's a new plight for us. We're in the process of developing Belize's first marine rescue and education center. It's not just a rescue center, but a place that will be used to inform, to teach, to inspire, and to mold the next generation of marine conservationists. As I mentioned, my primary goal is to inspire. Just like I've been inspired as a kid, I want to share that inspiration to others. And you all can be a part of saving manatees as well. We all need your help. It doesn't matter where you are, even if manatees are not in the country in which you live, you can be a part of safeguarding the species as well. Whether it's sharing a post on social media, volunteering, giving your time, talking about the species, spreading the awareness of the species is important as well. And for me, I was just a little boy when I got involved with this at 11 years old. A young kid wanted to get on a boat. So I started saving manatees from the age of 11. And here's a short video that talks about that.
I was an explorer at the age of 11. I saw my grandma's lawn, I see a weird looking boat go by. I heard that they're doing research about an animal that I care about. And these are very important to my life. It's not a job to me. I felt it was my duty to speak up for these animals that can't speak for themselves. Just because they can speak doesn't mean that they don't have something to say. Change has to come and someone has to do it. Why can't I be that someone? My name is Jamal Galves and my mission is to safeguard the Antillean Manatees of Belize.
That's my message to you today, that you can be a part of change. You can be a part of protecting a species. It does not have to be manatees. Find that one thing that inspires you to want to move, to wake up in the morning, to do something about it. But conservation is not a spectator sport. We don't want people cheering on anymore. You want you to get off the stands and get in the game and do something to do something that will help to make this world a better place. And with that, I'll say thank you. Unless you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer the questions that you may have.
All right, Jamal, thank you so much for that great presentation. You, your team, you're really doing great work with manatees, really in the whole ecosystem in that part of Belize. So thank you for the work that you do. It's very, very cool.
Thank you too, Jim.
Okay, if you are tuning in via YouTube, don't be shy. Use that chat sidebar to send in some questions. I do have Fremont School hanging out backstage, so maybe we'll let them have the first chance at some questions here. So let's see. Hey, Fremont School, how are we doing?
We're good.
Awesome. Good to see everyone.
We have a question. Oh, we have a question of the oldest manatee that is there, like being rehabilitated or something.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a manatee that was named Woody. It was rescued 22 years ago, and it was rehabilitated and released. And I can tell you that this year, actually last week, we had our manatee health assessment, and we randomly caught Woody 22 years later.
Oh my goodness. That's wow, that's amazing.
And he's surviving, he's good, he's healthy. And there's another manatee named Morgan, named after my boss's daughter. Morgan is about 24 or 25 years old, I believe. She was caught years ago in 1996, 1997, I believe. And we have been studying Morgan for many, many years. Morgan has a tag. We can follow her to see where she goes, if she has a baby, the places that she likes, the food that she likes. And we've been studying Morgan for a very long time.
Oh, that's so fun. Thank you. And then we were just kind of curious about how many manatees each year do you think that you come across and help and either need rehabilitation or?
For the year, we get around about 35 to 40 calls of reports.
Okay.
Not all of them results in a rescue, and not all rescue results in a release. Some of these animals, sometimes they're not as healthy. They're in severe conditions, and it's more difficult to save them. But we try our best to increase our ability to put these animals out, and that's why we're developing this center in Belize. That we hope that one day when you guys are a little bit older, you can come down to Belize and you can volunteer at the center to help feed and to help take care of these manatees so that I can get some sleep.
I'm sure they would love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Fremont School. Those are great questions to get us started. If you want us to visit again before we wrap up today, just send me a message in the chat and I'll keep an eye out to see if you have some more questions for us. I'm going to go to YouTube now and get some questions from the chat. So we've got Katie joining us from Nicaragua, and they're wondering, what are you feeding the manatees? So when they're really young, what are you feeding them, and what do they eat when they get older?
So manatees, they're like young babies at home that you have at home, like the human babies. They have very sensitive stomach, so we have to be careful what we put into their stomach. Whenever we rescue a manatee, it usually has been separated from its mother for a very long time, so it means that they haven't eaten. When a manatee is not eating, their system tends to want to collapse. Sometimes their stomach would actually close because there's no activity. So you have to be very careful what you put in. And so in the initial stage, we're just trying to rehydrate it. So it's actually electrolytes, Pedialyte that I was giving it in the video, which tends to help to rehydrate it. Pedialyte is simple. It's not hard for the stomach, and it varies. Some of these like coconut Pedialyte, some like grape. Just like humans, they like their own stuff. And as they grow older, we start feeding them more solid vegetation. So you may add milk to that. Young manatees have milk. They'll drink some of these milks that we give to newborn babies. So it's a recipe developed from SeaWorld that they give to newborn babies. It adds the milk and the vegetation to it, and later on they can eat stuff like lettuce, cucumber, cabbage, carrots. It varies. They have the mangoes, fruits. They have a very diverse diverse food options when it comes to manatees. They do eat a lot, so they need to have a lot of options for eating.
All right, very cool. What next question I have here is, what are the top reasons why you might have to go out and rescue a manatee? What are the main reasons why they get into trouble?
Number one reason is boat collisions. Primarily, manatees get hit by boats a lot. Not everybody likes to go fast on a boat. Not many people wants to go slow on a boat, and unfortunately, that results in manatees being hit by boats. Followed by destruction of coastal habitat. Belize is a developing country, and it has driven rapid interest for tourism. So there has been a lot of developments, cruise ports, resorts that are tearing down their habitats, destroying mangrove, destroying seagrass beds, entanglement in fishing lines. People discard their fishing lines into the water. Not just the manatees, sea turtles, whales, dolphins, other species as well. And also, garbage pollution is a problem. Garbage pollution, people throwing trash in the water, it makes its way into the seagrass. Manatees come by eating, they eat these foreign objects, and it can choke. It can also result in their death as well.
All right, I've got more questions coming in here via the chat. Miss Wilson's third graders here in Ontario, Canada are hanging out, and they want to know what's the best estimate for how many manatees there are in the wild around Belize.
It's a good question. We actually just finished the aerial survey. It has just been published. If you search manatee population in Belize, you'll find it. It's the first true estimate of the manatee population in Belize, and the estimate resulted to about 550 individuals. But that is based on an excuse me. That is based on an area survey. So the best estimate right now is 550 individuals, and that's the highest population in the world of this species.
Okay, so 500, and you said around 515.
15.
Yeah, and so would that be considered a good population? Is there room for it to grow?
There's plenty of room for it to go. That remains that number has a species remaining endangered, and it can, if it were to go lower, it would result in the animal becoming more critically endangered. So there's significant room for them to grow. There's significant work left ahead. There's a lot to be done, and that's why we're trying to inspire more people to be a part of it. We're trying to inspire people to be a part of actions that will help to safeguard the species. We cannot do it alone, and we're dependent on everybody to pitch in and be a part of this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Elena wants to know, the baby manatees, is it, how many of those do you, on a typical year, do you take in, and why is it that they would be abandoned?
So typically we can get around 6 to 8 calf, baby manatees calf, referred to as calf, a year. They are not abandoned. Manatees are like humans. They have a very close bond with their baby. Everywhere they go, they take them. When you do have a calf that needs to be rescued, it's likely that its mother either died or there has been a reason for separation. Sometimes a boat may come by and the manatee's first instinct is to swim away, and that causes them to become separated. And because they communicate using very low frequency, they're unable to get back together. And we don't always get calf. We do get adults that get hit by boats as well. But that's one of the main reasons why they become separated. Usually human activities are the ones that cause them to be separated.
Yeah. Okay, I want to visit Fremont School. Sent another cool question in the chat, and I think I see hands too. So let's see if they have another couple questions for us.
So we were just curious about how many manatees are they currently helping right now?
Right now, there's 7 manatees that are in the rehabilitation. I believe from that 7, 3 of them are in the phase of being released. They're getting ready to be released, and the others remain there. When these animals come in, they will be there for about 3 to 4 years, depending on their age. They're not released until they're old enough. They have the behavior that's required to be released, and they have the weight and medical condition that will allow them to be successful in the wild.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. They would like to know the biggest manatee that you've ever worked with or seen.
Last year, we had a manatee that was named Rob. That was about 1,800 pounds, and our scale wasn't the way. It was at 1,800 pounds, and it was still touching the floor. So it was definitely more, but the scale didn't have the ability to go higher. So I assume.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, in Florida, we've seen manatees about 3,000 pounds. There's a twin named Romeo and Juliet that was born in captivity in Florida, and because they were in captivity all their life, they have all the food available to them, and they're not moving around, and so they get really big. They're about 3,000 pounds.
Wow! Oh my goodness! Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. So that question, I'm just thinking of, obviously we saw you taking the calf out of the water. You can carry the calf. How do you move around the adults?
On the boat that you saw, that weird looking white boat with the engine in the front and the tower, and you see all those people on that boat, we usually use net to try and corral the manatees, and we use all these hands. So we're always looking for volunteers, always looking for an extra hand to help hold and to bring it onto the boat. So the bigger ones requires a lot more help.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely, for sure. All right, let's see what else we have here in the chat. So I've got a couple more here in the chat. If you are tuning in, don't be shy. We can probably squeeze in a couple more questions before we have to say goodbye for today. So let's go with this first one here. People in Belize, how, like when you go out to do the education, does everybody know about manatees, or are they a species that people sometimes don't know about or see?
Manatees is the most iconic species in the country, even more than the national animals, and it shows you that the job that we have been doing. For me, we understand that to protect a species, we have to bring them to the light, bring them to the front. Every animal has a story, and every animal's story is deserved to be told. I've been blessed to have given the opportunity to tell their story, and for the story to be told, you have to sing out and sing loud. And so I spend my life talking about manatees wherever I go, at the market, in the church, in schools, in the banks. Anywhere I go, I use the opportunity to share with it. And because we've done that and we've traveled across the country into schools and workplaces, most places that you go, you'll find people already knew about manatee. They know who to call, and they have some general idea of the species. And manatees are primarily loved in Belize. I believe that people love things that are famous, so our job is to make manatees famous so that people can love them.
Yeah, sounds like you're doing an awesome job with that, for sure. That's great. What about, so I have another question here. What are some other marine species in Belize that are in trouble? Are there other marine animals?
Sea turtles, loggerhead, green turtle, hawksbill turtle. These animals face numerous issues from climate change, erosion, destroying the beaches that they lay their eggs. Sargassum, I don't know if you guys hear about sargassum. It's a plant that somehow with the climate change has the population or the magnitude of sargassum has increased, and it destroys our beaches. It's really, really bad, and it limits the beach access for sea turtles. So it's deterring sea turtles from laying the eggs. Whales are also here in Belize. There are also issues that these animals are facing. Dolphins, all marine life are being affected, whether it's by human activities or climate change. But not just the species, but their ecosystems. Seagrass is being lost from climate change, with the ocean temperature changes, increasing water levels. Their habitats are being lost, and you can't protect a species if you don't protect the place that they live as well.
Okay. Another question here from our third graders in Ontario. They're wondering, you mentioned 11 years old kind of being the start of your story. So they'd like to know more. How did you first get involved with manatees when you were young?
So I grew up in a village named Galves Manatee. So it's actually named after the species. All my life I've seen manatees. As a kid, you see manatees all the time. It's kind of like a bird that flies by. You always see it. But as a kid, I saw that the same boat that you saw in that video, that white boat, weird-looking boat. I saw it drove by my grandma's lawn. And like a kid who sees a cool truck, I was fascinated by the boat. I wanted to get on the boat, so I started asking questions, and I understood that they were doing manatee research. And before you know it, my cousins and I start playing manatee rescue on my grandma's lawn, fight to see who get to drive the pretend boat, who gets to be the boat captain. And eventually, I wanted to do more. I wanted to understand more, so I left. I went to the dock where the scientists leave, and I approached the guy who is actually still my boss today. At 11 years old, I said, I want to come out with you. And he looked at me and he's like, kid, you're too small. But I was very convincing in making an I'm about to cry face that made him say yes. And so he told me yes, and I went out and I started volunteering with them every single year. Every single year they came, I was there. It was really to the point that they could not get rid of me, so they decided to hire me. So at 16 years old, they offered me a job, and it's the job I've had ever since. And it's the job that I was born to do. If I had another job, I'll do this for free. For me, this is my life purpose, and I'm grateful to have had this opportunity to be here. And so my job now is to try and inspire others and provide opportunities for others like you guys, so that you too can write your own future.
All right. I love that story, Jamal. I think that's, a great message for classrooms out there is if you're passionate about something, you don't have to wait. You can get involved. And, whether it's reaching out to people, whether it's volunteering in the community, if you're passionate about something, also don't take no for an answer right away. Be determined, chase your dreams, chase your goals, and good things can happen. That's pretty cool. So I have two more questions for you, Jamal. The first one is, if you were in the water and you were snorkeling, how do manatees react? Are they scared and swim away, or are they curious?
Manatees are curious. In Belize, we say interfering. In America, I think you guys say nosy. They're nosy. They see something and they wonder what it is. They'll come close enough to see, but they won't come close enough that you can actually interact with it. Here in Belize, manatees are not as used to seeing humans in the water. In Florida, where the population is significant and is more developed, manatees see people all the time, so it's normal for them to be around people. Here, they're a little bit more skittish, curious, but also precautious. So there's some individuals will leave, some will hang around and look around to observe what it is that who you are. But it varies on the individuals. They all have unique personalities. It's not one cat fit all.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, I'm gonna give final question to our Fremont school because they sent me another question in the chat. So if you want to ask that question, you can even squeeze in one more if you had it, but let's for sure get that one in the chat.
Yep. Someone wanted to know, how far down do manatees dive?
They can dive at about 30 feet. They don't normally though, because manatees like to eat. They spend most of their eating. They eat, sleep, eat, repeat. And so where they're eating is where the seagrass grows in shallow waters. Because I'm not sure if you guys started learning about photosynthesis yet, but seagrass needs sunlight to grow. And so the deeper the water, the less sunlight they're getting. So the shallower the water, the more sunlight they're getting. So manatees hang out in shallow waters. It's kind of like if you like to eat, you hang out in the kitchen, you don't hang out in the living room. So they hang out in the shallow waters, but they can dive at about 20 feet, 20 to 30 feet if they need to.
Okay, and then do they sleep? Like, are they constantly moving?
They do sleep. Like I said, they're primarily eating or sleeping. It's either eating or sleeping. When they do sleep, it's kind of like dolphins or horses. You notice how horses sleep standing up. They don't fall down when they fall asleep. It's like a sensory activity that they have. When manatees do sleep, half of their brain is asleep and half is awake. So they're able to come to the surface and breathe and go back down as they need to.
Okay, thank you so much.
Very cool. Well, Fremont School, thank you so much for those great questions. It was great to see you today. And thank you for hanging out with us. Very cool. There they are. Awesome. Jamal, thank you so much. I want to start off. We thank the Fremont crew. A shout out to the classrooms who joined us on YouTube. Thank you for sending us all those great questions today. Jamal, what a pleasure to steal some of your time and hear your story. I think it's an important one. It's great work that you're doing. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, and I really, really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be able to share with you guys, and I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of this journey.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We are going to sign off for today. Have a great weekend. See you, everyone. Thank you.